To honors, let's get started with section 1.2, operations with real numbers. So what we're going to be doing today is first adding and subtracting integers and decimals, adding and subtracting fractions, and then when we move on to the next page, we'll start multiplication and division. So adding integers and decimals. So it's really important to decide if these numbers have the same signs or different signs. So this is 12 plus negative 10. So we have a positive 12 and then we're adding a negative 10. Because they have different signs, what you're going to do is subtract the two, like 12 and then minus 10. You're going to get 2 as your answer, and then you decide if this is going to be a positive 2 or a negative 2. Well, this will be a positive 2 because we are taking a positive 12 and then basically moving 10 units to the left. It'll land us still at a positive 2, since we'd have to at least go 12 to get to 0, and then anything more than that would be a negative. The second one, negative 3 plus negative 17. These numbers are both negative. When you have two negative numbers and you're adding them together, they have the same sign. So what you do is just add those numbers as if they're positive, like 3 and 17. Well, together 3 plus 17 is going to be 20. But this doesn't mean it's going to be a positive 20. This is a negative 20 because we're starting at negative 3 and we're adding negative 17 to that. So we're adding 17 more negatives, which will altogether be negative 20. A lot of students get confused if you have double negatives with adding like negative 3 plus negative 17. They think that this would make this a positive answer, but when you're adding more negatives to a negative number, it gets even smaller. And then the last one we have here is some decimal numbers. Now I know this says solve without a calculator, so let me refresh your memory how you would do this problem and not necessarily do it in your head. So negative 46.08 plus negative 35.1. These have the same sign. So to solve this, we would actually take 46.08 and add 35.1 to that. To make this the same, what I'm going to do is add a 0 here so that I have numbers to add to all the place values. And I add straight down. 8 plus 0 is 8. 0 plus 1 is 1. Here's the decimal. 6 plus 5 is 11. So 11 or 1 here, carry the 1 here. 1 plus 4 plus 3 is 8. So the sum of these two numbers together is 81.18. Because these are both negative, this final answer would be negative 81.18. All right, subtracting integers and decimals. So when we have here subtraction, we have to think about either the number line or think about the whole idea of having the same signs. So we have negative 5 minus 9. When we are subtracting, the numbers are going to be getting smaller. We're starting at negative 5 and we're moving 9 more to the left. To get there, when we move that 9 to the left, we are going to end up at a negative number because we're starting at negative and moving towards the negatives. And we have negative 14 as our answer. If you want to remember the rules, because these technically have the same sign, since every subtraction problem can be thought of as an addition problem of a negative, you can also use the rule they do have the same sign, add them, and then keep the sign the same. The next one is similar to that as well, negative 13.2 minus 9.6. Well, to do this problem, you could take 13.2 and add 9.6 to it. Okay, and then when you add these straight down, you're going to get 22.8. Now, this final answer is not going to be a positive 22.8 because we have both negatives, so altogether it would be a negative 22.8. And the last one, when you're subtracting negative numbers, that means you're taking away negatives. What happens here is it turns into a positive. This is 7 plus 8, and that's going to be 15. Example 3 says evaluate each expression. This involves a little bit of order of operations. The order of operations says when you are down to the last two steps, you add or subtract from left to right. So in the first example, 4 minus negative 11 is what we would do first. Well, when you subtract a negative, it really turns into a plus. So this ends up being 4 plus 11, which is 15. We have here 15 plus 9, and then we add that together, and we are going to get 24 as our final answer. The next one, we have negative 17 plus 6 minus negative 24. Step 1, we're going to do negative 17 plus 6. That's going to give us negative 11, and then we will have minus the negative 24. Okay, just be very careful that you're showing your work each step or you might make a mistake. Minus and negative really means plus, so the final problem that we will have to do is negative 11 plus 24, and that ends up being a 13. All right, let me erase the board and scroll down. Okay, here we go. All right, so in the last example here on this page, we have addition and subtraction of fractions. Remember, when you're adding and subtracting fractions, the fractions have to have the same denominator or you cannot add or subtract them. The first example, 5, 6 plus negative 7, 6, they do have the same denominator. When you have fractions and they have the same denominator, when you're adding or subtracting them, the denominator stays the same. So the denominator does not get added, it does not get subtracted, it's going to say 6 at this point. So what we actually have to do is the numerator addition or subtraction problem. So we're going to have to do 5 plus a negative 7 to get our new numerator. Well, 5 plus negative 7, you start at 5, you're going to go 7 to the left, it's going to land you at a negative 2. And then every time you have fractions, you should always simplify those fractions. So I could divide everything by 2 here, and my final answer would be negative 1/3. All right, the next one you might want to do all together, or you might want to do it step by step. So if you wanted to do it all together, you would have to find the least common multiple of 8, 4, and 6. So that means the smallest multiple, that is a multiple of 8, a multiple of 4, and a multiple of 6, and that would be 24. So you could change all of these fractions to have the same denominator at the beginning, or you can do it step by step. So I'm going to do it all at once so that we can just stay consistent. So let me rewrite this. 5/8 plus 1/4 minus 5/6. So I need to change all of these to have denominator 24. So I'm going to have to take each fraction and multiply it by a number so that it will stay all the denominator 24. So 8. 8 times 3 is 24. So I have to multiply 5 times 3 as well. 5 times 3 is 15. So this turns into 15 over 24. All right, the next fraction, 1/4. 4 times 6 is 24, so I have to multiply everything by 6. So this is going to be plus 6 over 24. And then minus 6 times 4 is 24, so I have to multiply this all by 4. So this is going to be minus 20 over 24. All right, now at this point, we're going to use the order of operations, move from left to right. The answer for this first addition problem is going to have a denominator of 24, and then we just add the numerators. 15 plus 6 is 21, so this would be 21 over 24, minus 20 over 24. 21 over 24 minus 20 over 24 is 1 over 24. That would be our final answer. Okay, and then the last one we have here, mixed numbers. So in order to solve an addition or subtraction problem with mixed numbers, make sure we're taking these mixed numbers and converting them into improper fractions. So what I mean by that is that instead of having a whole number attached with the fraction, make it one whole fraction by taking the whole number, multiplying it by the denominator, and then adding the numerator. So 5 times 4 is 20, 20 plus 3 is 23, so this turns into 23/4, plus 7 times 8 is 56. 56 plus 3 is 59. So this is 59/8. Now that we have it in improper fraction form, we still can't just add them because they don't have the same denominator. But thankfully, I can take the first fraction, multiply everything by 2, and then it will turn into the denominator of 8. So 23 times 2 is 46. 4 times 2 is 8. So we have 46/8 plus 59/8. All right, now the next thing we would have to do is take 46 and 59 and add it, and the denominator of 8 will stay the same. So if we take 46 Add 59 old school, we are going to get 105. So it's going to be 105 eighths. All right, now, whenever we have a problem that's given in mixed number form, you're going to want to convert your final answer to be a mixed number. The answer is 105 eighths, or you can think of it as how many times does 8 go into 105, and that's 13 whole times, so it'll be 13 is your whole number. And 13 times 8 is 104. So since this numerator is 105, we would have a remainder of 1. Now this is the simplified improper fraction form answer, and this is the simplified mixed number answer.